everyone. Today we are privileged to have a wonderful lady doing great things with our teens. She's a mother and a speaker, and she runs a campaign on the plight of teenage mothers. She's currently studying for a course in trauma management. She underwent a traumatic event during her teenage, which has really shaped what she does today. And so joining me today on the show is Angie. Most welcome, Angie. We appreciate what you're doing, and we are glad to have you today because love and relationships is a core topic when it comes to our teens and our young people. And I have seen what you've been doing, especially in the field of supporting teenage mothers and also the preteens and teens in general. So that's a lot from me. Let's first also hear from you what it is that you're doing.
My name is Ndinda Kyoko, but my brand name is Ndinda Kyoko. I work with young women, teenage mothers, preteens, also children, because I know some trauma start from way young, and I help people overcome what they've gone through because I am a survivor. So I understand the structural situations that put us back. So I help people overcome those kinds of things so that they are survivors, so that they're able to live a better life.
Okay, nice. When you talk about trauma, would you kindly now help us understand what can be classified as trauma and how does it, or maybe how does it show up so that you can be able to identify this trauma?
Okay.
Yeah.
Trauma is very wide.
Uh-huh.
It's wide. It's anything that affects us emotionally, psychologically, physically as well. The implications of trauma sometimes, a lot of people don't understand that trauma rewires our brain. That's why sometimes when maybe something happened to you when you're, let's say, 13 years old, your mind stays stuck. Because you'll not be able to handle a rewire your brain until you heal that moment and you
Wow. So, Angie, help us understand when you mention trauma, what is trauma? As in, how does it show up? Or how can we identify this trauma if it's showing up in our lives? What is trauma?
Okay. Trauma is something that happens to our life that disrupts our normal lives. It can disrupt us physically, emotionally, psychologically. And it has huge implications because there's moments where people tend to get stuck in that moment. And then because of that trauma, it now affects how we deal with our everyday life. Yeah.
And you had mentioned some time back that when something happens to you, let's say, for example, at a young age, let's say 13 years, you're likely to be behaving like a 13-year-old very much.
That's why you get some people are like, Mbono Ujai grew up you at this age without understanding that this person at that particular, it's something really traumatic happened that rewired their brain. And for them to actually behave the way you want them to behave, they have to heal. They have to heal first. That wound that happened at that particular time so that they are able to move forward. Someone can grow up. They do things like grown up, but not entirely because something happened when they were young. And so they are stuck there. They have this thing, the inner child needs the loving, the protection, but it didn't have that. So they are stuck. The inner child is stuck wanting to be heard, wanting to be felt, to be held. And so they start acting the way they would at that particular age. Maybe they were 13. So they still want to be hugged like a 13-year-old. They want to be treated like a 13-year-old because they feel like the baby was not handled well.
Yeah. And that they're still looking for that. So it's affirmation, this is attention. They're still looking for it. That's deep. And how did you land, in that space?
Well,
where you were so knowledgeable and well-versed in issues in the area of trauma, especially for young people.
I went through, I think my trauma began when I was 15 years, when my mother died. So the grief in itself is a trauma. So we became orphans, We became orphans at 15 years old, and the grief was not handled well. The people who took us in, I believe they didn't have the tools to help us go through it. So we never grieved. We never grieved the way we were supposed to grieve. So we would just move from one environment to another, and then life go back to school, all these things. And so the pain still was inside of us. Like, we were just born in my brother. And I was in high school, in boarding school at that time. And also stepping into puberty as well.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of changes happening. So many changes happening at the same time. I'm also an adolescent. I want to react. I want to, But I don't think I had the space to articulate what I felt. I also didn't have the language, and I also didn't have the behavior to be understood. Yes.
You've mentioned something critical about when grief strikes, the way we handle it. I think it's in our culture. Sometimes we'll try to hush things up, try to just let's pretend everything is okay. We'll not say we are pretending. We'll say everything is okay and we are fine. What's your take on that? Is there a better way of doing it? Is it talking about it? Is it taking them for guidance?
Yeah, you have to, but you see, everyone grieves differently. Like, we can all here grieve one person, and everyone will handle it tough out. Even in our home setting, like someone passes on, the children will handle their grief different. So it is important. My opinion is that we need to be able to talk to each individual, to give them maybe a counselor or a therapist, help them navigate.
Counselor or a therapist?
Yeah, to help them navigate what they feel. Because how I feel and how you feel is different. Yes, we've gone through grief, but how you will handle it. Some people lash out. Some people, they become closed in. Some people stonewall. Some people will live life. They want to pretend that it didn't happen, so they will just continue living life like it didn't happen. Yet they're hurting inside. But the pain is still there. It doesn't mean that it went. And if it's not handled well, somewhere down the road,
it will goes up. It comes up. For you, at what point were you able now to actually face this situation and start doing something about it? Did it take long?
Very.
It took long.
It took so long because my personality, I like solutions.
Okay.
I like, I compartmentalize issues. So I'd put in a box and throw it somewhere. So that just happened. I'm like, okay, what is needed at this time? Okay, let's do this. Inertia. And then I moved somewhere else. But you see, like for me, it took, I will say, until when I wrote my book. That's maybe 18 years, 15 years.
That's around 15 years. Yes. So Angie mentioned that she has a book. She's an author. Tell us a little bit about this book and how it came about, because it seems to have been an outlet for you to get some healing.
It was a outlet. Tell us about it. When I was writing this book, okay, a backstory, I'm a Christian. So I normally begin my year fasting.
Nice. That's good.
And that year, I wanted, after my parents passed on, there's a relative who took my mom's things, and I've been asking for them for so long. And I've been asking also properties, not necessarily property, but had documentations, had things, those kinds of crucial things. Yeah, I've never been given up to now. But when I was fasting at that particular time, I was telling God, this year I'm just praying for that. And then I normally fast for a few days, but I extended for 5 months. I said, I just want, because I was really, so it was a lot. Yes. And so towards the end of the fast, I had God tell me, you have to write.
You have to write.
I wrote it. So I was like, okay, let me write. And I was like, so how do I write? It was May. I remember it was May. I started writing.
I think God that said you write. Is it a book or you just said write?
Just write. Okay, well, let's write. So I started writing. And then after maybe 2 months, I was somewhere with my son, and then I remember a conversation I was having with my cousin. My cousin had told me, when God gives you an instruction, you have to download the instruction. You have to use it. You have to obey. So as I was writing, and then I remembered also we talked about thorns in my flesh, the story of Paul, and how he was speaking about the thorns. And I was like, that's a good topic, because this thing is a thorn. So I had to take easy. So I changed everything that I had written for 2 months, because the way I had written for 2 months was very passive. It was like, it's not my story. So I had to like go back to my two closets, and I opened one closet. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm writing about. And I had to sit down and I had to feel what I was feeling at that particular. It was so difficult. It was one of the most difficult journeys I've ever been on. But I knew that I was not doing it for myself. Yeah, I was doing it for other people. So I was also very sensitive on how I was writing, not to mention names.
Yeah.
And also not to write from a place of bitterness.
Yeah.
Because I wanted it highly lift. Yeah. So I had to, like, yes, make you feel what I felt, but I don't want you to stay there. Because I don't want to stay there as well. So that's how I started writing. And then when I finished the book, somehow, when you bake God, things just work out. Someone just gave me a copyright. Then I got someone to like come print your books, and just things flowed now, just like that. I remember that the time I was also very scared because I was thinking, hey, production expensive. And somehow just managed.
You managed.
Yes.
You were just moving one step at a time.
Yeah, because I said, God told me to write. He didn't tell me to sell. He just said, well, you just take that.
Scan scary. So you mentioned opening the closets one at a time, and you said it was a painful. You can imagine it was painful. Is that a key step towards healing for trauma?
The first step towards healing is acceptance.
Acceptance.
You have to accept that this is a problem. It's something that I'm dealing with. There's a pain. Have to call the pain by its name. And a lot of times people don't want to do that because it's hard. It's painful. It's painful. It's painful to sit and say, I have a problem here. I have a wound. And you can't like cover your wounds. They will never break and they will never heal. So you have to like call the wound by its name. And then when you call it now, that's when the healing now starts, because you're acknowledging that it's there. A lot of the things that people hurt from most is assuming that it's not, or pretending then it doesn't exist. Yes. Yet our pain shows up in the things that we do. Consciously or subconsciously, it will show up. It's how you're going to parent. It's how you're going to relate with your friends. It's the things you do when you're in pain, like coping mechanisms. Some people have maladaptive behaviors, like taking drugs, those kinds of things. Those are just things that happen because of our trauma.
Because of the trauma. Wow. And you went through that and managed now to write the book.
Yes.
How was that process like when you were still going through, before now you got to writing the book? Let's just go a few steps back before you wrote the book. And you were in the family, you were in this family that have taken you up, or in whatever setting you are. Were they able to identify that you are undergoing trauma? Were they able to relate maybe what you are doing or your actions to the traumatic event? So when you are going through all this, of course it's emotional, so it's not maybe something that somebody can look at you and see maybe through the behavior. Was the family that you are with or any other person, maybe a teacher, were they able to recognize that as maybe that you had gone through trauma? Maybe
I don't think they will, because for me I was going through puberty, so they assume they would link it on
adolescence.
Yeah.
Yet this maybe the adolescence was there, but there was more to it than we were actually. That they were actually seeing.
Yes. Also, I would want to say we were from two different classes. Class points. We were a bit lower class than they were. And so, because, I don't know, people who come from a bit of a lower class, they tend to be more exposed in life. They tend to be, because, the way life is.
Yeah.
And so for us, we were a bit more exposed to how... I'm trying to look for the correct language.
Okay.
You get to be exposed to the realities of life when you're in a lower class, because your parents really have to work extra hard.
Yeah.
Protection is privilege, to be honest. Protecting your kids is privilege. When you're in a higher,
you can afford
to keep them in the house. There's a TV, there's Wi-Fi, stay in the house. That's privilege. We don't like to call privilege as it is, but that is privilege. People from a lower class, you don't have that privilege, because maybe your parents, they both have to work, and maybe you don't have the TV, and then mchezo huko nje, mnazurura, mnenda. There's so many things you can see.
Yeah, sure.
There's a lot you can be exposed to. So for us to go to the other class, and then they were protected.
Yeah, so you're expected now from now being more exposed, now being told that you can only sit here.
And then now the way they view us also will come out. Those kinds of things. Maybe that was not even what was there.
Yeah.
But because you were exposed more children, it came out like that.
Probably if you were to talk to a parent who is in such a situation, who has a child who has gone through some trauma or something, what would be your advice to that parent? Or a guardian or a friend who maybe wants to help?
I'm a parent. I will tell parenting is personal. Because we like to impose what we know on our children. And we do it from a place of love, honestly, we do. Most of the times, right? We want to protect our children. I don't want them to see maybe the realities that we have seen. But sometimes it's also detrimental because when you put them in a bubble, the world does not put them in that bubble. And so when you have a child who's gone through trauma, you have to ask yourself if you have this space, because a lot of people don't have the capacity to handle a traumatized person. Do you have the capacity? It's not even a given thing, it's a capacity.
It's a capacity.
Yeah. Do you have the capacity to understand the child's language? Because we like to dismiss kids. Usiongee nyamaza, you're just supposed to be saying. You're supposed to act right because we think the way a child behaves is a reflection on us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because of that, we tend to want to cut them off when they want to speak. We cut them off, and then we don't get to understand where they're coming from. So I will talk to parents and tell them, you have to ushuke. You get to the level
from the high. It used to be called the high ladder or the horse.
You come from the high horse, come down, listen, understand the language. I mean, you don't have to be their friend, but you have to be a safe space. They can come to you, they can talk to you. They have to know that you will be there for them. They have to trust you. Because especially like a teenager, teenagers are wired to listen to their friends more.
True.
Yeah.
More than you as a parent.
So you have to get to a point where you can bridge that gap and say, yes, I'm a parent, I have authority, but also I have the safe space for you to come to me and tell me what you're going through. And if you cannot be the parent who have someone for them, a guardian, a friend, they can go and talk to someone. They have a safe space because things happen. Children are going through a lot outside, and parents sometimes we don't want to believe.
Yeah, you
just shut it.
But we just because they have not talked. We just believe it's not happening, and they are good. They are
or even tutangu hawezi fanya kitu kama hiyo.
The classic one that my child cannot do that. Okay. So thank you for that advice. Now, maybe what you could tell us, these events that happened in you, how did they influence the person that you become? You are an author, you are doing a lot of things, yet we know that happened, but we also know that it could also go the other way.
Yes.
That if you do not get to a point where you recognize that this is happening and maybe take some steps toward this, it can end in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So how did it influence the person you've become?
I want to say, first of all, that I'm very privileged. Also, again, I want to be very careful of the language that I speak.
True.
God has been very merciful to me, because sometimes I sit down and I'm thinking, I have been in situations where I could have died, but God did not get me. It was so easy for me to get in spaces. Drugs is there. There's so many avenues. This could have gone wrong in so many ways. But then God preserved me in such a way that I knew myself well enough to not indulge. That's why I'm very careful in the language that I speak, because everyone is a child of God. So So, but for me, I feel like because of the calling that I have, I had to overcome. I have resilience. I also don't care a lot about what people say, what people think. People have branded me a lot. And I have that thing of I don't carry your weight of what you think. And I will not clear the air. If that is what you think, you're fine. And that tangaza kila mahali is fine. It doesn't really bother me. So I think that's one of the things that helped me. But also I was really affected. Like in my romantic relationships, I've not had many, but I come across as maybe aloof, emotionally unavailable, because I like to shut myself.
Is it to put somebody far enough so that they don't hurt you?
Or they don't hurt? Like I have walls, and my walls have spikes. Like you can't come very.
Not just walls, it's walls with spice.
If you come closer, so don't come so close to me. And if I say like a tiny bit of thing you want to hurt me with, I cut you off.
So you're likely to even cut off people who had very good intentions, but
yes. So I'm learning.
You're learning.
But right now I'm learning that even my ways of protecting myself are harmful to other people. Also, I have to, balance, because I have this thing. I will also tell people, get out of my space. Like I don't want to see, without hearing what they have to say. So I'm learning, as much as I'm protecting myself, I also have to give the people room to be human.
True.
Yeah.
Wow, quite a lot. And tell us about your work with the teenage moms.
At this particular time, I'm working on a structure where we're going to help teenage mothers and young mothers in vulnerable areas to be able to overcome. Because being a mother is traumatic in itself. Being a teenage mother is another very trauma. It's worse. You can be ostracized. There's a lot going on. There's also needs. You're also still a child. So working to build structures to be able to help these women overcome, to heal, forgive themselves also, to heal the trauma, because a lot of them also has been raped or coerced into those kinds of lives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're working to put structures in place, because I don't want to help someone and then leave them hanging.
That's why you enrolled for the course?
I enrolled
for the trauma management course. So you want to be really equipped?
Yes. I want to be able to understand. I'm also studying criminology in University of Nairobi, but I also want to help people in the traumatic space. That is my calling. And so I had to go back to school to be able to have the levels and the levels of understanding.
That is really good. I admire that about you, because you do not just want to offer help. You want to ensure that you have the correct capacity to be able to offer this help.
Yeah.
And that's what we like to do about, in this show, which I bring on board the experts, people who are actually well-versed with what they are speaking about. Because, we are talking about families here. We are talking about our children, about ourselves. We don't want just to do theoretical.
Yes.
We want to make sure that the experts are there. And so thank you so much even for taking that extra step to equip yourself, even as you share with us today. So thank you so much. In terms of the relationships at that age, having worked with these teenage moms or the preteens, I know they have lots of questions, especially about love and relationships. What would you tell the teenagers about these love relationships? We know they are happening.
Yes.
We know that it's a stage in life. The hormones are there. They are all raging. And nowadays also exposure is much more than it was before, truth be said. So what would you be advised to them as they pursue these relationships or form friendships? How far? What should they look out for?
I
what
think
should they be careful about?
Important thing is knowing yourself. And that knowing yourself, unfortunately, because I know some homes, they don't have that safety. Unfortunately, our identity comes from our cultures. Unfortunately, because a lot of homes are very dysfunctional. And even from the dysfunction is where our identity will still come from there. And so as a teenager, you're still growing, you're still navigating, you're still looking for space, you still want to be heard, you'll be rebellious. This is very sensitive. because we get our need from our guardians.
Yeah.
And know who you are. Yeah. As a Christian, I would say, understand that you're a child of God. And so you go to your God, ask God, who are you? You know, as a child of God, you have to see who God is, God as your father, and him being the father. So how would you act as a child? And I know as a teenager, you still want to enjoy life. When you know who you are, you will know how to enjoy the life.
Very true.
Yeah. And also be very mindful of the people we hang around with. So as much as you get exposure, and you know now internet is everywhere, as much as you get exposure, you want to know these things. There's drugs, there's, you know, mental health issues, there's sex, there's all these things that there at a So know yourself enough to know, if I indulge, will I want this in my future? You know, will I want the implications of what this is going to happen to my future? And as much as we like to write people off, I am very careful not to write someone off, because sometimes, you know, you can slip and slide and something happen. It does not mean that you cannot change your life at 30, you cannot change your life at 45. You can still do. But right now, because you're still very young, try as much as you can not to get to those points. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. In your book, you mentioned something about trauma bonds. What are trauma bonds?
Some people say a trauma bond is when I'm traumatized, you're traumatized, so we come together because of the trauma. We bond over that. And then there's also the other definition where, let's say like a narcissist and someone who's not maybe an empath. So because you, as an empath, you really want to be there for someone who looks broken. So you bond because you want to fix this person, and this other person wants to feel that they've been fixed. So they come together because you're fixing like a codependency.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's also that.
Oh, so, and those also are, as you mentioned, they are linked back again
to backward traumas. So like, let's say if your father was abusive, you will look for a partner who's abusive because that's what you know. And maybe your sister would want someone who's not abusive at all because she wants to run away from what's happening. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so she will look for someone who's very stable because she defined what she wanted for herself. Yeah. And you, because you want to trauma bond with someone, you know, this person has to beat me because that's what I saw.
Yeah. That's what you interpreted.
Yeah. Maybe. That is love.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it's quite eye-opening. Could you tell us about these lovely books that you have here?
These are my gratitude journals. I, as a trauma person who's gone through trauma, I like to talk about overcoming the trauma. I don't want to be to get stuck. And so one of the ways of healing is gratitude. And you know, seasons don't last. Bad seasons don't last. And so in those bad seasons, there's always a silver lining. So maybe last week ulichapwa sana, maybe leo hujachapwa, andika kwa hapa. Today I was not bitter. Something to be thankful about. Something to be grateful about. You know, like you woke up in the morning, the air was fresh, you feel nice. You feel nice. I'm happy I've woken up. You know, just right. That helps. Yeah, it helps a lot. It helps a lot. You know, I've been able to walk outside. I've seen a few friends. I've said hi. I'm grateful that I was able to do this. You know, this week I was able to maybe pass my exam, or I was able to be called for an interview. Even God loves a grateful heart. Yeah. You know, when you're grateful, other good things, you start rewiring your brain to seeing the good in life when you're grateful. When you're sad all the time, you'll always see the saddest.
True. You'll always be, is this what people call like negative, you know? Yes, reverberate negative. And okay, so thank you so much. Where can they get this book?
They have to call me.
Okay, so we'll give a number, and then once you call that number, you'll be able to get these books. And thank you for the work you're doing among our teens and preteens and our young our young parents in the teenage years, we know they need all the support they can get, and you're doing a great job. And we look forward to having you back again.
Yes, I will be so happy.
Okay. Is there anything you like to tell our teens? Just a parting shot you'd like to share with them?
Life doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a purpose. I know it's hard to see it that way right now when it's painful, but it has a purpose. If I had known 15 years ago that I would be talking to people, I think there's that story of Joseph. If Joseph would have known he's going to be a minister, and God told him, you have to go to the pit, and then someone will say you try to rape them, he would have refused. So, and it would have been time. I told God achana tonight. So, I mean, like, a season does not last forever. There's always a next season. But in this season, there's always a very fine print of where your next season will go. So pay attention to your season. Honor your season. When you honor your season, it's faster to go to the next season. Also know that life does not stop in your pain. There's always happy moments. God is a God of justice. God is also a God of balance. So when you have bad times, he will make sure you have good times as well. So wait for the good times.
Wow.
They are coming.
Powerful.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's something for the parents in there.
Yes. A parent. I'm also learning as I go, but I've been a child for so long. So children are a gift from God. We have been given them to steward. They don't belong to us. They belong to God. So we need to ask for wisdom to know how to steward and how to raise them. If you have 5 children, you're not going to raise all 5 of them the same. Every child has its own gifts, own, capacity. So with every child, my cousin's wife told me, the more kids you have, the more love you should have. You need to multiply. You should not divide. You have to multiply the love. And so you have to see every child as an individual and handle them as such. And seek wisdom. Seek wisdom. I think that's the bottom line. Yeah.
Well, it's been a very, very informative session. Thank you so much for coming and for taking us through that very, very important topic. Because I know for many families, that is, it's, as your book says, thorns in my flesh. Sometimes there are many people with these thorns and they really need some information on how they can navigate that space. So thank you so much for that. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you. I've enjoyed this session so much.
So thank you so much for joining me for today's show with my guest today, who has taken us through a very informative session. We've learned a lot about trauma, how to identify trauma, and how to just help those around us to seek for help. Remember, we've been guided to always look for the capacity. Don't assume that you can help that person by, just because you're the parent. Let us look for help. Let us normalize just looking for professional help in cases of trauma, so that we can be able to guide our young ones. We can be able to get help for ourselves and lead to better and healthier families. So till next time, we also encourage you, continue interacting with us. Use the WhatsApp number that you're providing there. Share with us your feedback. Let us know whether there is an area you'd like our guests to come again and handle. And of course, if you'd like this book, let us know. We will ensure